Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Good morning. How are you today? I hope your single day will running well. First of all, let us thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us merciful, healthy, wealthy together here today. Salawat and salam to the Prophet of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who has bring us from the darkness to the brightness. And thank you so much for occasion to given me chance to presentation my proposal. And firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Rolyta Alhanifa from H class NPM 1911-040-200 and venerable for my beloved friends and venerable for Miss Septa Aryanika MPD as a lecturer in seminar teaching learning course. And today I would like to explain my proposal and my title proposal about the effectiveness of using vocabulary self-collection strategies on student vocabulary mastery at 11th grade of Manpower or senior high school. And firstly, about background of the problem. Background of the problems today, learning second language is very important for our. And the thing of the to learn foreign learner is about vocabulary because vocabulary is very important when learning a language. In learning English, vocabulary is the most basic in terms of language understanding. When we're writing, listening, reading, and writing, we must know about vocabulary. And also, in a casual interview with Manpower's English teacher, the Honorable Miss Melissa Octavia SPD, many students have difficulty speaking English, where according to the teacher, they were not confident in speaking. Then, researchers tried to investigation why the student difficulty in speaking and also not confident in speaking. And then the researcher interview of Manpower's 11 grade students who had difficult speaking English. Why they difficult in speaking English and not confident? Because they didn't have vocabulary and mastery of English. And then identification of the problem in this proposal. The firstly is students 11th grades Manpower who had difficult speaking English because they didn't have a vocabulary and mastery of English. And then the second problem is also about the teacher. The teacher look for learning strategies in English vocabulary, not just looking for strategies is more suitable for teacher to using improving the abilities, but also how much they increase about motivation and also motivation to learn vocabulary mastery and also to increase the metacognitive self-awareness. And limitation of the problem in this proposal were focused on the effect of using self-collection strategies as the technique in classroom to experience and learn vocabulary mastery on English student at Manpower. And based on limited of the problem and identification of problem, the researcher made formulation of the problem. Firstly, how to implementation vocabulary self-collection strategies or VSS on student vocabulary mastery at 11th grade students Manpower, and also investigation. Why did the student choose to collect the vocabulary based on the metacognitive awareness, and also what is the effect of using vocabulary self-collection strategies or VSS on student vocabulary mastery. And the objective of the research is find out of the effective of using vocabulary self-collection strategies on vocabulary mastery. And also in significance of these studies, the researchers aim to find a good strategies in mastering vocabulary. And also this research can be a good finding and become a variations to weigh in the process in classroom and more benefit to students in suitable strategies of learning and mastering, understanding to use vocabulary about regular verb correctly or in narrative text in past tense. And then we can see about the scope on the research. Scope of the research, the firstly subject of the research. The researcher use subject was conducted on student at 11th grade in Manpower and senior high school. Object of the research, of course, the object of research was using the technique in learning classroom about to using vocabulary self-collection strategies or VSS, and a researcher will conduct this research in place of the research at Manpower in Province Bengkulu, and the time of the research will conduct it at the English student at Manpower student years 2022 and 2023. And then previous relevant research studies. The firstly, Fitrana Ayusari 2019 about teaching and learning vocabulary through vocabulary self-collection strategy at the second semester of the 8th grade of SMP and Tiga Jati Agung in the academic years of 2018 and 2019. And there is Ferawati Elisutisnayanto Wahyudi Fitriana in journal about student perception in Instagram assisted vocabulary learn with vocabulary self-collection strategies. And also there is Dias Tiara Putri Utomo 2020, the title about improving vocabulary material using interlinear subtitle and vocabulary self-collection strategy on improving student vocabulary mastery. And the next, Anis M. Harmon 2014 about vocabulary self-selection, a study of middle school student word selection from expository text. And the last, Latifa Ikasari Joko Sutopo 2018, the effectiveness of vocabulary self-collection and word mapping strategies from teaching vocabulary to maritime cadets with high and low metacognitive awareness. And all of the relevant research studies is provide that VSS is more suitable to increasing student abilities to vocabulary mastery. So why the research to use or to find that VSS is more suitable to student, and there is a want to provide this VSS can affect or influence in students' manpower. And therefore research methods, the type of research that will be used by research quasi-experimental research or quasi-experimental research design based on Sugiyona 2000, based on Tori Sugiyona 2016. And for the sample selected using purposive sampling, where the researcher chooses his own sample by decision and sample selection according to the objective that the researcher wants to use. And the sample in 11th grade students in Manpower, there is 4 class, and inshallah the researcher wants to choose 2 class for his sample, and the research instrument will use analytical testing in the form of multi-choice and data collection technique in the form of a questionnaire and interview, and data analysis technique. The researcher use analytical data in the form inferential statistic to analyze the sample, and the result are applied to population. And also there is the theoretical framework, there is vocabulary, and also there is vocabulary mastery. Vocabulary mastery is where students learn about list and meaning that then they will know the meaning of vocabulary to use suitable its the context, and also they can use in the rules of the meanings, and also in the grammars. The types of vocabulary, there is a kind, there is word classes, word families, word formation, multi-word units, there is collocation and homonym. There is metacognitive self-awareness. What is metacognitive awareness? Metacognitive awareness is the strategy referred to students to know they self to learn about something, and then they can choosing the most useful strategies for managing, planning, monitoring, setting, and evaluating learning from the self to suitable the strategies and technique in the classroom or for they self. There is vocabulary self-collection strategies. There is theory in Haggard vocabulary self-collection in 1982. And VSS or vocabulary self-collection strategies to help students produce a list of words that will be explored. They learn to use their own knowledge and interest to improve their abilities and mastery vocabulary. They can independent to choose the word or vocabulary that they curiosity or they want to understanding about that, about the meaning of the vocabulary or the interest in the vocabulary, so they can make list word in their creativity in book or in mind mapping. And also there is conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is also experiment research design, where there are two group or two class, one of which there is control class and the other class is experimental class. One of two class, there are experimental class. In experimental class, we give treatment. The treatment is VSS or vocabulary self-collection strategies. And in the control class is to using in the teaching learning classroom teaching in the teacher and conventional to give the learning. There is reference. There is Anis M. Harmon, Wanda Hedrick Karen, 2014 about vocabulary self-collection, a study middle school student word selection from expository text. I think we can see in our PPT about the reference. I think that's all for my presentation about my proposal. Thank you so much for your pay attention. And also, I would like to explain why I choose this topic or this title, because today language is important thing to learn. An important element in learn English is vocabulary. And vocabulary is the key to learn second language and writing, listening, reading, and speaking. We must to mastering and understanding about the vocabulary so we can use vocabulary to show our thinking, to show our feeling. So vocabulary is very important to our. And also in the senior high school in Mankaur, the researcher was interviewed with teacher and student at Mankaur, and the researcher get information was obtained that the teacher said his student had difficulty speaking confidence in English, while after researcher investigation, why student is difficultly speaking confidence, and the reason is students were not have a lot of vocabulary and mastering of understanding English. And also teacher used conventional teaching, so they must to increase and looking for strategies who can suitable for his students, I mean. And also teachers are looking for learning technique that can cover both increasing their motivation and vocabulary mastery. So it helps to research VSS can significance in the classroom. And then the issues in my proposal, the problem that will be discussed about the effect of using vocabulary self-collection strategies on student vocabulary mastery of Manpower, and how to implement and how this VSF vocabulary self-collection strategies can increasing metacognitive awareness in students at Manpower. Here, the researcher combined the theory from Redens, Dean and Baldwin 2001, based on theory Haggard 1982, is to help students, the VSS vocabulary self-collection strategies, is help students to produce the list of word own in the independent of choosing interesting curiosity of the vocabulary, so they can explore and learn to use their own knowledge and interest to improve their abilities in mastering vocabulary. And also, and then the next is about the subject of the research. The subject of the research were 11th grade students in Mankaur, our senior high school. The students who lose their confidence in speaking English are caused by the lack of vocabulary they master. So they need to learn technique or learn strategy that are suitable for them to increase their metacognitive awareness and increase their motivation and also abilities. And metacognitive awareness is that students are able to choose and adapt technique and strategies that can still suitable for them. Likewise, in this vocabulary self-collection, they are free or independent to collect vocabulary according to their interest in narrative text in past tense, and they don't to remember it, not just to remember the vocabulary, but also they explain the meaning of the vocabulary. And to understanding its meaning and this research will be conducted or implemented at Manpower. And then the sampling technique are used the sampling technique used by researcher is purposive sampling. the theory from Sugiono 2016. The sample in class 11, there are 4 class and 2 class will be selected according to they need. And then the instrument researcher will use analytical testing and for multiple choice. And also the data collection technique is our questionnaire and also interview. And data analysis technique use analytical data to analyze the sample, and the result are apply of the population. And the type of the method of research, this research use quasi-experimental research, where there are 2 groups in 2 class, one of which there are control class, and also the other class is experimental class. And the researcher will give treatment. The treatment is using VSS or vocabulary self-collection strategies to increasing student abilities and metacognitive awareness on vocabulary mastery in narrative text or past in word regular verb past tense. Okay, I think that's enough or that's all for my explanation about my proposal. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.